All right, so let's solve another problem. See, in real world, do you think your client or manager is going to ask you, hey, do an XLOOKUP or a VLOOKUP? No, right? The real world complex problems may not be always straightforward. So let's solve one such problem. So here the problem is, what is the total employees under project leader Deepesh Jain? Now, where is this Deepesh Jain values sitting, right? So if you go to the employees tab, we don't have a project leader name, right? We have a project manager, but we have a project manager name, but we don't have a project leader name. Where is the project leader name? So if you open your project file, if you go to your project resource files, there is a file by name projects, and that project file has the project lead name. And here in the second column, we have the project name and project ID. So for each project ID, there are 6 different project IDs. Which are the 6 different project IDs? PID 001, PID 002, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And for each project ID belongs to one particular area, right? SAP HANA, Microsoft Analytics, application development. Now, for each project ID, there is a project leader. So Deepesh Jain is the project leader for PID 003. Now, I want to find out, if I want to bring the leadership name, that is Deepesh Jain and all the other leaders here, I can use a VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP. But then I want a common column, right? That connects between the project ID, that connects between the project file and employee file. And what is that common column? So if you look at the project file, we have the SAP services and project ID, which is PID 001, 2, 3, and 4. This is the only column that can be unique. But then if I come to employee file, we don't have this SAP HANA or project ID column. Yeah, but we do have a project ID column here. That project ID column shows the project number as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1 means project ID, PID 001. 2 means PID 002, like this, right? So now we know using this, we cannot do a VLOOKUP. We need to make some adjustments for some changes, right? First of all, we need to change this project ID value to PID 001, PID 002, PID 003. That is the first thing. Then we also want to split these values into 2 separate columns for the XLOOKUP to work, because we want the project ID in a separate column, right? Now, how do we do that? So, first of all, let's split this into 2 separate columns. I want the project name here in one column, and I want the project ID in another column. So there are, what is the easiest way? The easiest way is to use flash fill. So I can, if I start typing SAP HANA, Microsoft Analytics, yeah, Excel populates, and if I hit enter, it is done. And similarly here, PID 001, PID 002, PID 003. Now if I select all this and then go to home, go to the small arrow, populate flash fill, and I'm done. Okay, I've got these 2 columns in a separate, two values in separate columns, right? What if the flash fill doesn't work? See, you can use left, right functions to extract the project name and the project ID from here, right? So how do we extract the project ID? So we know that project ID is on the which side? Right side, right? So we want to extract from the right. So how many characters? Project ID has 6 characters. So I'll say right from right. I'll select this text. How many characters? 6 characters. But I got only D001. What is here? Let's copy paste this. So I got values like this. Because if you look at here, the reason is that there is an extra space after PID 001. So Excel is considering that extra space also to extract this. So first of all, what I need to do, I need to trim this, right? I need to make sure that all the extra space is removed. So I'll insert another column next to that. I will use trim function. I'll trim this. I'll copy the formula. I'll copy this. And then I will paste this as values, right? Paste special. And then I'll paste this as values. So I removed all the extra space. Now I can delete this column. So this you have learned in the text functions, right? Now I've got the project ID perfectly. Now project name. Project name is on the which side? Left side, right? So if I want to extract from the left, okay, I select this. But now the problem is how many characters? Okay, because SAP HANA is 7 characters, but here Microsoft Analytics is different. Application development is different. So what is the approach? We learned how to dynamically extract, right? So what I do is, I need to find out the total length of this, and from that, if I subtract PID 001 length, I'll get the remaining as my project name. So what I first do is, I use len minus, if I subtract the length of this project ID, which is 6, I got the SAP HANA. But you see that there is a hyphen after this. So that means I need to subtract the hyphen also, one more space, one more character. So instead of 6, I will say 7. Now I got the project name. Perfect. So this is how we have used a left-right function to get the project name and project ID. Now project ID is here, right? Now if I go to the employee name, employee file, right? The project ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now if I want to change this to PID 001, PID 002 to match this project ID values here, how do I do this? So in the employee file, I will add another column and I will say project ID 6 digits. Now I want to add 00 before this, right? So if I add 00 before this, if I say 001, it returns only 1. So basically I want to change this to a text with the 001, something like a 001 like this. So it should be a text. If I want to add zeros before a number, it should be only a text. It cannot be a number, right? So I use text function. And then I select this value. And now format should be what? I want 3 digits, right? So if I say 3 zeros, this means I want this to be changed to 3 letters, right? With zeros. So now it is changed to 001, right? What did I do? Text, project ID, and then I asked Excel to format it in this format, right? 3 zeros. It should be maximum 3 characters. And prefix zeros in the front, right? So if it is not 3 character, then Excel will prefix zeros on the front. So now I've got this. So what is still missing? What is still missing is the PID, right? The text PID. So that is very simple. What I can do is I can put that PID in double quote and join that with this value. Now I've got PID 001. So now I've got the values here, right? So now what I can do, I can create a project lead column. Now I can easily do a VLOOKUP. Select this. This is my lookup value. And where is my lookup array? This is my lookup array. Where is this value is located? Comma. Where is my output column? Project lead is my output column. Close bracket. Now I've got the project lead, right? Now how many people are, what is the question here? How many people are under Deepesh Jain? So now what I do, I'll go to project leader. I'll select Deepesh Jain. Now I've got 143 people are under project leader Deepesh Jain. So this is how we have solved the problem. Now I hope you understand. Sometimes it can be a little tricky because we may not get an opportunity to straight away do XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP. We'll have to make a lot of data transformation before we can before we can do the XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP. Okay. So this is the case for every other function. Okay, nothing might come straightforward. So we'll have to work through the problem and then solve it. Okay, so let's move on to the next problem. This video was a bit lengthy, I know, but we had to solve this in multiple steps. All right, so let's move on, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's solve another problem here. So here the 2H forecast scenario is this: if the expense type is software expenses, we should increase it by 5%. We should increase our 2H forecast by 5%. If the expense type is data center cost, it should be 3%. If the expense type is license fee, it should be 2%. All others, 1%. This is the forecast scenario. Now, how do we solve this problem? See, this problem is different from all the other problems that we solved previously. In all the previous problems, we had either one true, one false, right? But here, if you look at, there are multiple truths. For example, based on the expense type, the calculation also changes. There are multiple ifs, right? So if software expenses, then it should be 5% increase. If data center cost, it should be 3%. If licensing fee, 2%. Now there are multiple ifs. So how do we calculate this, right? So to calculate this, we need to use multiple ifs, or we use nested if. So let us do this. So let's say 2H forecast scenario 5. So how do we do this? So we need to use multiple ifs. So there are multiple ways actually to solve this problem. Let's see the first approach. So I start with the first if. And what is the first if? So let's copy and paste this into here. So we can see this, right? So software expenses 5%, data center cost 3%, license fee 2%, rest 1%. So we say if first if is if this is equal to software expenses, then what should be the output? 5%. Then we should multiply June with the Then we should multiply software expenses. We should multiply June with the 105%. Now first if is done. Second if, again we should use another if because there are multiple ifs, right? It's not just one true or false. There are multiple ifs. If this is equal to data center cost. Data center cost. Then what should be the output? June into 103%, comma. Next if this is equal to licensing fees, okay, then June into 102%. Now if none of these met, what percentage it should be? 1%, 101% into 101%. So we are done. So we need to close all the brackets one by one. So how many brackets we opened? We opened one bracket for if, and we opened here one bracket for this if, two bracket. Then we opened another bracket here for third bracket. And then, yeah, so we opened three brackets, right? 1, 2, 3. Yes. So we are done. So now we got the answers. Now let us test the variances, right? So how do we do this? This minus June divided by June. Now if you look at all this, 5% one should be software expenses, which is correct. All 3% should be data center cost. All 2% should be license fee, correct. Rest everything should be 1%. So now this is how we have calculated the 2H forecast based on multiple if conditions, okay? Now we just need to multiply this with a 6 and we are done. So scenario 5 is equal to sum. Please check whether you got this value as output. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.